then he told me, well, Taniona, I am tired of you. You are a very difficult character. You are the worst mistake I've made in my 35 years of politics. I regret having nominated you as my deputy. Yeah, commercial interest by the president. As a country now, you have heard what has happened. Zambia is up in arms. Yeah, Moscow is up in arms. The crime of this man is just being truthful, because people do not want these things to be known.
On the 7th of April, 2025, the former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, gave what might be the most jaw-dropping interview in Kenya's recent political history. He didn't just criticize President William Ruto. He flat-out accused him of corruption, foreign meddling, and even linked him to international war crimes. If even half of what Gachagua claimed is true, we could be looking at a presidency deeply mixed up in global conflicts and using government power for personal gain. This isn't just impeachment territory. This kind of allegations could put Kenya in the crosshairs of international sanctions. The claims are so serious they demand a proper investigation, as they suggest Ruto's administration might be involved in something much darker than your typical political scandal. In this episode, we'll go a little deeper into these allegations, looking at the details that you might have missed. So be sure to like the video if you enjoy it and subscribe to the channel for more thought-provoking stories from Kenya. Early in the interview, Gachagua linked President Ruto to Sudan's Rapid Support Forces, RSF. The RSF, led by Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, better known as Emedi, is a paramilitary group accused of orchestrating one of the worst genocides in recent African history. According to the United Nations, over 15,000 people have died in the town of El Geneina alone amid ethically targeted campaign aimed at non-Arab Sudanese. Gachagua asserted that this group now enjoys a safe haven and political protection in Nairobi under the president's watch.
My good brother. Welcome to your other home. Thank you very much.
I told him, Mr. President, I am a father. I am a Christian. Just the way we are killing our children here through abductions, I cannot be party to what is happening in the Sudan, and I cannot invite Hemet here because he's coming here to clean his gold here, sell it in the Middle East, buy arms, go and kill children.
In a move that raised eyebrows internationally, Hemedi and his RSF faction held a strategy meeting at the KICC in Nairobi.
President William Ruto's stance on Sudan raises eyebrows as it has now veered toward open support for the RSF, a group already sanctioned by the US.
Gachagua insisted that this meeting, held without formal diplomatic oversight, could only have occurred with Ruto's direct involvement or at least his silent consent. What many might have missed is that on the same day as Gachagua's interview, the United States issued a public warning about arms smuggling into Sudan through the port of Mombasa, lending weight to his claims. Sudan's military leader also publicly rejected Ruto's mediation role, and the Sudanese Foreign Ministry described Kenya's conduct as embracing genocide-linked militias, which isolates Kenya both regionally and internationally. The president's persistence on backing his friend Hemedi has severely affected diplomatic ties with Sudan, which culminated in an outright trade ban. Even when Ruto recently claimed during his Mount Kenya tour that Kenya had resumed trade with Sudan, Sudan's embassy in Nairobi quickly shut down this claim and reaffirmed the continuation of the trade ban.
The Sudanese government imekataa kuchukua products za Kenya, moja wapo ikiwa majani chai, na hao watu ndio soko yetu kubwa ya BP1, au ndio wamekuwa wakitununulia. Hii swala tunataka serikali ichukulie with a lot of seriousness, because if we are producing and we are not selling, then why should we produce?
Gachagua called on the international community by stating that Ruto's relationship with the RSF is so extensive that he should be treated as the de facto leader of the group and sanctioned accordingly, even offering to testify and provide evidence.
Just trying to find out. Everybody made claims that the president is doing business.
Everybody knows that why William Ruto is having relations with Hemedi through Nairobi is for the gold business. And the gold business, the proceeds are buying arms to butcher children and women. And I want to ask the international community, I want to say I'm available to give evidence, and I want to tell the international community, it is pointless to levy sanctions against Hemedi. The person you need to levy sanctions against is William Ruto. And this thing of Sudan will be sorted out, because if there are sanctions against William Ruto, he'll stop entertaining Hemedi. Gold will stop being processed in Nairobi. There will be no money to buy arms to go and kill children and women.
Beyond the Sudan allegations, Gachagua raised further concerns about President Ruto's foreign policy decisions, suggesting they may be driven more by personal business interests rather than Kenya's national interests.
Because of his appetite for commercial ventures, he's putting the country in an embarrassing diplomatic position.
A key example was Kenya's controversial move to formally recognize Kosovo as an independent state.
We are now in trouble with Serbia. We are in trouble with Russia. I mean, this is not right, you know? And he really hated me for raising that matter.
Okay.
As Kenya joins a list of Kosovo supporters, Serbia feels betrayed and disappointed. Belgrade has strongly protested the move and calling it a violation of international law and a threat to friendly relations between the two countries. Analysts see this move as aimed at securing trade, aid and investment from the West. However, the decision has sparked criticism from within Kenya. Experts warn that it could strain relations with powerful nations who oppose Kosovo's independence, like Russia and China. Others argue that Kenya cannot afford to antagonize global players and that its foreign policy must be more cautious to avoid diplomatic isolation.
Gachagua also revived concerns about Kenya's involvement in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He alleged that Ruto has personal financial stakes in the region's lucrative gold trade and accused him of holding private meetings with M23 rebel leaders, suggesting that Kenya's role in the region might be less about peacekeeping and more about profiteering.
Again, you know, he's also interfering with the DRC, and I can confirm that he is creating problems in DRC through involvement with M23 because of his interest in gold business in the DRC. And as the chairman of the East African community, William Ruto can also have any problem in this region.
With M23 in charge, it's the rebels, not Kinshasa, now collecting lucrative taxes on the land, the workers, and the commodities. The Congolese government claims they are helping to smuggle $1 billion worth of minerals to Rwanda per year.
He further questioned Ruto's judgment during a recent flare-up in eastern DRC, where the president reportedly bypassed regional diplomatic channels by directly calling French President Emmanuel Macron instead of consulting with Congolese authorities or Uhuru Kenyatta, who is the official mediator for the Nairobi-led peace initiative. Gachagua suggested that this move was suspicious, especially given France's own mining interests in the region. This alleged pattern of prioritizing personal interests, even at the costs of relations with powers like Russia, connects to another of Gachagua's claim. He spoke about a consignment of fertilizer donated to Kenya by Russia, intended for free distribution to farmers.
The Russian government gave us 40,000 metric tons of fertilizer.
The donation.
It was given to this man called Maisha Minerals by the president, and another 30,000 metric tons from Nigeria given to the same man. They blended and sold it to government. A donation from Russia, a donation from Nigeria was processed and sold to the Kenya government at the same price that we were buying fertilizer from. And I would like you, now that I've told you, go and ask the Ministry of Agriculture, the fertilizer that came from Russia as a donation, which farmers were given free of charge? The ones that came from Nigeria, which farmers were given free of charge? The president gave it to Maisha Millers, Devki, his friend, blended, packed, and sold to the Kenya government. They pocketed billions of shillings.
He claimed it was handed over to private companies, naming Maisha Millers and Devki Group specifically. Devki is very close to the president, having gone on record to say Ruto should be president for 25 years. After raising international red flags, Gachagua turned his sights on Kenya's internal decay, accusing the government of systematically weakening institutions to turn them into personal money-making machines. Take eCitizen, for example. In 2024 alone, the platform's private owners pocketed 1.45 billion shillings. Ruto was also linked to Fuliza by the former DP, allegedly having a deal with people who run the platform. Even if he didn't give specific examples, Kileleshwa MCA Robert Alai on X claimed that the president personally collects 265 million every single month from Fuliza revenues. If true, this will amount to more than 3 billion shillings every year. But the issues, according to Gachagua, go beyond digital platforms. He pointed to major government projects that have become vehicles for moving vast sums of money with little oversight. The Kimwarer and Itare dam projects have already cost the Kenyan taxpayer more than 38 billion shillings.
Okay, so in retrospect, because you seem to corroborate with what the former CS Justin Muturi said in an interview last week Friday, if I'm not wrong, where he said the president is irredeemably corrupt and is unfit to lead this nation. So from where you see it, how much has Kenya lost due to these dealings by the head of state?
Well, Kenya has lost 38 billion shillings to Italians on Arol, Kimorel, and Itare Dam. President William Ruto says Muturi is incompetent. That is a lie. Muturi was a very competent attorney general. He's a patriot. He is a hero to this country. President William Ruto had serious problems with Justin Muturi because he will never agree to give a nod to corrupt deals.
Councils. I said, what is this? But the country is losing, or has lost actually, over 38 billion shillings. And they still, later they wanted me to sign. I said, I can't. I cannot append my signature, not on this.
Can you substantiate all of these allegations that you're making?
Fortunately, I have them on record.
You have paper trail. I
have paper trail. You know, I knew what I was doing. Contrary to what William Ruto may have thought, I am not the kind of person I keep records. Right. And I have all of them, in fact, on soft.
Okay. His allegations were echoed by the former Attorney General, Justin Muturi, who reportedly refused to approve a series of questionable deals. Among them was a $1 billion money laundering scheme masked as a tree planting initiative backed by Russian financiers.
He said, Muti ya nyumbani, hii kazi imekuwa ngumu. The thing the president was asking me to sign is a fraud. It's $1 billion that is being brought to the country without going through the National Treasury, which is contrary to the PMF Act. This money is supposed to go to the Ministry of Environment without going through the National Treasury. I have done due diligence. The owners of that farm have criminal cases against them, and there are people who are involved in money laundering. And from my investigation, this is money laundering. I'm not going to do it.
As the interview reached its climax, Gachagua addressed the corruption allegations against him, specifically refuting Ruto's public claim that he had blackmailed him for 10 billion shillings.
Let me ask you a question. William Ruto should make up his mind how much money I'm supposed to have asked. His chief propagandist, Dedesi Tumbe, wrote, and it's there, I have a copy, I will give it to you.
I remember, yes.
That I'm asking for 6.5 billion. Okay?
Sure.
His Mr. Fix-It Kimani Ichong'wa went to Europe in an interview and said, I'm asking for 8 billion. William Ruto says, I'm asking for 10 billion. Between his Mr. Fix-It and his chief propagandist and William Ruto, can't they sit down and agree the figure that Rigathi Gachagua is supposed to have asked for?
He explained that he was actually offered 2 billion to resign quietly, and he even recorded the conversation as a precaution.
Also to come and see me. On Thursday, when the National Assembly resolved that I should be impeached by going to the Senate, that Friday morning, he sent a very senior officer to come and see me. And he gave me his terms. And again, it's my ethics because I don't record people. I recorded that conversation, giving me that offer from the president. I have that record.
However, only time will tell whether Gachagua will eventually release any recordings of the offers. The allegations made against the president are shocking and very much impeachable if confirmed. And even if Gachagua might have a personal vendetta against President William Ruto, he might have many flaws, but being a liar isn't one of them. On the contrary, he's built a reputation as a truthful man, unlike the president. With Ruto's fast dwindling popularity, even getting his government involved with a beef with some Form 3 students in Butere Girls, the question now remains, could people rally behind a new national party led by the self-proclaimed truthful man? He already announced plans that the party exists and it's just a matter of time before it's announced, stating that he has a leadership responsibility and is taking the war to Ruto even politically. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this explosive expose, so be sure to drop them down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.